Honorable Ssemujju Nganda, good to have you all, and a very good evening.
Good evening.
Perhaps you could, if I could start with Paul, just give us a snapshot of how things look like as we head to elections. How prepared is the Electoral Commission? Where are the sticky points still to sort out?
Yeah, well, thank you, Bwana Simon, and our viewers. Once again, I would say good evening, and to my fellow frontliners for the day. The Electoral Commission is progressing well with the preparations for the elections. We have, indicators, issues that we tick off and say that the state of readiness, to describe our state of readiness. Of course, we nominated candidates. We have candidates, and we have positions that are contested. In this election, we nominated candidates for 45,000 elective positions. 45,000 elective positions, 83,000 candidates who are out there campaigning and mobilizing supporters to come and vote for them. We have issued a National Voters Register. We've had a National Voters Register, of course, but now final processes that include issuing copies of the National Voters Registers to presidential candidates and to those candidates who have approached the Commission seeking for a copy of the register. So when you have a register ready, then you know that the elections, you're ready for the elections. The register is very important. We've recruited officials who will conduct polling at the polling stations across the country, and we're doing the various levels of training for them. Some are doing their training as presiding officers, for example, and then the biometric voter machine operators are doing their refresher training. We trained for 2 days in December. We're doing 3 days this January. And in terms of logistics, also planning for dispatch of materials. This morning we flagged off the delivery of materials to the regions and to the sub-regions. Some areas are considered as sub-regions. And they will go down up to the districts, organize them and prepare for early delivery to ensure timely delivery to polling stations and to open on time. The polling dates are set. And I think that's all these are signs of indicators that we're looking at. And of course, the continuing stakeholder engagement to ensure that we are moving together to deliver the elections on the various dates that we have.
You handed the final voters register to National Inter-Platform just 6 days to elections. What caused all this delay?
We've handed over the copies of the physical copy. We handed over the soft copy in September, the soft copy in September. And of course, now the final register has been handed over, the physical hard copy.
Isn't it ridiculous that you expect someone to scrutinize the register in a mere 6 days?
The register,
looking at 21.6 million
Simon,
voters.
The register was scrutinized by the public in the month of April and May. That's when we displayed it for public scrutiny. So to say that you are receiving this register for purposes of scrutinizing it, as in a display, I think that is the wrong way of looking at it. That's not the purpose of issuing the register at this point. It's not for purposes of displaying it to identify, remove the date, We displayed the register in the month of April. You remember we updated it in January and February, displayed it April and May, and we started using it in June when we had special interest group selections, where we had different groups selecting their leaders through electoral colleges. This is the register we've been using. We used it for nominations in September, and now we've given by law a copy of the register to parties to give their agents, so that at a polling station, a presidential candidate, the agent of a presidential candidate has a copy of the register. That's the purpose. So it's not to...
but what if it has issues?
No,
is there sufficient time for someone to raise an alarm?
But there are timelines for preparing and producing a register. And now, so we go back and we say remove, no, the register was completed. The register was completed. It has 21.6 million registered voters assigned to 50,000 polling stations. If I could break down the actuals. So the polling stations, the register is ready, and that's the register we are using. It's the register we use for nominations. Otherwise, if I subject it to scrutiny now, I may go and object to OO and remove any other persons that are on the register. No, the register is closed. The register is final. The register was scrutinized by members of the public in a participatory way during the public display, which is by law. So the purpose of issuing a register at this point is not to take it back to the public. If you do that, then it is something else, and I don't know how you're going to do that.
Honorable Ssemujju.
People who are correcting registers from Electoral Commission, they are still printing. I think by today, they have only dealt with 3 presidential candidates. They are printing, they give you, you check, you tell them these registers for these particular stations are missing.
No, that is not true, definitely, Honorable. No, that is not true. You can't say that these registers are missing, although what is true is that printing of the registers...
Can you allow me?
Please allow me to make a submission. I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you, Paul.
But I'm at the Electoral Commission.
Yes, hold on.
But you are not issuing the register to yourself.
But I'm at the Electoral Commission, Simon, and I think I object to that information.
Who are picking these registers, I know colleagues who went there at 9. They left the Electoral Commission around 5. They even had to go to the chairman of the Electoral Commission, asking him, because they are doing the cross-checking as they are printing. He said, why don't you do cross-checking from our offices? We spend here all day. But Kenya must accept, if there are mistakes that are not deliberate, you accept and then we correct them together. But if you seek to defend each and everything, you look like someone who is covering up.
I think this is not just defending.
You have issued registers.
Simon, this is not just defending.
To NRM,
so that would mean then...
the others haven't corrected.
But again, we need to put it in context,
today
Honorable.
you had how many candidates, and you were able to issue to one candidate a whole day.
No, but is this true?
No, but the impression is creating...
How many candidates have received...
the impression... Now, let's go back, Simon. The impression, my good brother, is...
I hope you had allowed me to complete.
Okay. Please allow him to submit, and then you'll come back.
Okay.
As of this evening, they had not completed issuance of those registers to all the presidential candidates as the law requires. They are still fidgeting there. I have told you, the exercise, they hand over to you, and the whole register, it's 2 tracks. It's huge exercise, and I was coming to that point. You cross-check, these ones are missing, then they run back, begin printing, then they bring. This is what they are doing. You should have done this and cross-checked and even packed and sent the registers to the political parties and to the candidates. That you haven't done. You are still fidgeting with it. But also, the presidential candidates are required to send these registers. They are not required by law, but by common sense, that they should send these registers to their agents in 70,000 villages at 50,739 polling stations. It's a huge exercise, delivering these registers. And that's why the law says do it 14 days before. You are still doing it. And Kenya wants us to praise the Electoral Commission. That's why people think sometimes, even when your mistakes are not intentional and deliberate, people think you are deliberate, motivated by bad faith. Because if you offload a register 2 tracks, and then I am required to move it to Kabongo, to Chisolo, to Arua, 2 days to go.
Paul, you need to come in here. Yes. Is the delay technical or deliberate?
No, there is no deliberate delay. Of course, there are technical issues.
Final register 6 days to an election?
Of course, there are technical issues, which we've been in touch with the political parties. We've printed 4 rounds of national voters registers as a priority, because we're going to have 4 rounds of elections, presidential elections, requiring register 21 million registered voters. And then the next round is the district chairperson election, a register that is equivalent, it's the same number, 21.6 million. registers for municipality elections, and then the last phase of the register. And those ones are the ones that we print first before we come to candidates. We've been in touch with the candidates, informing them of the progress that we're making, and of course explaining that it is going to take a little longer.
If you were in touch, then there wouldn't have been a protest note.
No, of course,
the National Unity Platform.
Of course, the concern and the notes are understandable because they said we want to move faster. And that's why they've received a register. But it's not true that there's fidgeting. And it is certainly not true that there is, you are giving partial, then come back for this, that we are running around. No. This is organized, and it is being done in
a... You're running inside to print.
Of course, now, Honorable is entitled to his description. But what is happening is that a soft copy was issued to candidates, and now this is a follow-up register, which is very important.
If I could get to you, when you listen to the submission of Paul, you get an impression that all is well and elections are on course. And what are some of the observations that UHRC has made thus far?
Thank you, Mr. Nganda. From our viewpoint as Uganda Human Rights Commission, when we are talking about readiness for the elections, of course we look at the legal framework and the procedures and processes that are required to be ready. We look at institutional capacity. Of course, the key stakeholder in this case is the Electoral Commission. And we also look at issues of complaints management and complaints redress. Is there timely management of complaints as they arise? And generally, our observation as Uganda Human Rights Commission is that for this particular election, the Electoral Commission has been very, very responsive and has communicated quite deliberately and intentionally. We've seen a lot of engagement with the political parties. We've seen a lot of engagement with the media. I think we can all say that we know what's happening, in spite of some of those concerns that we raise. If I may lean into the issue of the voters' register, the law says that within at least 14 days before, this voter register should be available. We appreciate that there may be some technical issues that arise. But how does that impact? Because remember, we are looking at having a free and fair electoral process, which means that the process gives all parties, all stakeholders, the confidence that the playing field is level. So some of these issues, like the voter register, whereas there may be some challenges, of course they raise some concern. You know, if there are complaints raised within these 6 days, is the Electoral Commission going to be able to address those? I know Mr. Bukenya is saying that we're not looking at removing or adding, but that confidence that the public has, that all the political parties have, that the stakeholders have, that the process is going to be free and fair can be impacted by some of those. But on the whole, when we look at many of the reforms that have been made ahead of the elections, of course, we still have some concerns. We know that our friends in the diaspora are not going to be able to participate in this electoral cycle. That is something that we would have loved in terms of inclusivity, in terms of participation. But we know that the government has alluded to, again, certain challenges. I think for us, the issue is, are we calling out those issues? Are we responding to them? And can we ensure that at every electoral cycle we get better so that the rights of all Ugandans who are eligible to vote are
as an
upheld?
observer, would you bill this as pointing to a free and fair electoral process?
I think on the whole, the Electoral Commission has done well. We do note that there are some areas of concern, and we have been raising those as we go along. One of those that I may talk about is the complaints handling process. But again, we've seen that the Electoral Commission has handled the complaints as they've come in. We may not go into discussing the merits or demerits of those decisions. We've seen appeal processes handled. We've seen that those decisions have been handled in a timely manner. That is a positive thing. Is there room for improvement? Should the Electoral Commission be the one to handle these complaints at a time like this? You know, those are concerns that we can address.
How would you evaluate the role of security?
The role of security is an interesting one because you ask yourself, that debate is always there. What is the role of security? I should say that within the electoral process, the role of security is actually secondary. The role of security agencies is secondary. It is to ensure that the environment is secure to allow the public to exercise their right. So in the beginning, as the narrative has been said, in the beginning, we saw that there was a lot of positive engagement. As Uganda Human Rights Commission, we've done a lot of engagement with the Uganda Police Force. Our chairperson has engaged the police force, has engaged the Electoral Commission. And in the beginning, we saw there was a lot of restraint. As we went along, there were some concerns at the presidential election campaign level. But we must appreciate that when you look at it in its entirety, there have been sporadic areas of concern. We raised a concern around the issues that happened in Gulu, and we hope and believe that the police has taken the necessary remedial action that is required. We saw incidences in Mbarara, but when you look at all those incidences, Lira, I think there was some instances in Lira. When you look at them within the broader context of parliamentary and all these electoral processes, it has generally been fair. As we tend towards the end, we are seeing more excesses, if I may use that word, in terms of how the security agencies are interacting with certain supporters. But again, when we look at the context within which those things are happening, I think those are areas that we can address, and our general assessment is that the process has been
well.
fair.
I'll get to AIGP Bamunoba. You're very critical in this, but just the other day, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, the candidate for National Unity Platform, raised a red flag that security had started kidnapping supporters of the National Unity Platform. What's your response?
Thank you very much, Simon, the fellow frontliners, those watching. Maybe in the first instance, security does not abduct, it arrests. So whoever has found himself or herself in that situation has been arrested, not abducted.
In the night, kidnapped, taken away incommunicado?
Arrest can be effected any time. It doesn't have the time limits that arrests have to be done during the day. Even at night, arrests can be made. So security, whoever has been found on the wrong side of the law has been arrested. As for the kidnaps, I'm not aware.
You are picking people in the night, in the wee hours, and hiding them away incommunicado, right?
When it necessitates, there is no specific time to effect an arrest. Because when crime is committed, we don't have to wait and say, he has murdered someone, let's wait and pick him in the morning. No, we pick at any time that we feel.
Is there a swoop on NUP supporters happening at the moment?
Security is doing its part, and it's not being in any way siding with any side or biased against any side or any party, but rather ensuring that the electoral process, the campaigns, happen in a crime-free environment where the candidates, the voters, all participate in an enabling environment and they're able to exercise their right.
Okay, for the benefit of our viewers, what amounts to an arrest and a kidnap?
An arrest is if you have committed a crime and you are apprehended by an officer, well identified and known, which is within the mandate of the security officer.
So what is happening now is totally different from what you described. What, according to Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, is happening is that NUP supporters are picked in the wee hours, driven off in vans, the notorious drones.
I think the bottom line, as I've said, is that security does not kidnap, it arrests.
So who is kidnapped?
Those who have been picked, if it is really they have been picked, then it's an arrest. And whoever we've picked, we've owned up. Right?
Do you realize?
There's nobody who is held by police and is not accounted for.
Do you realize that you're stoking tensions with all what you prefer to call an arrest? With all these arrests happening around this time? And
Well, probably may call it tension, but when security is doing its part, then we don't have to call it tension. Probably the action itself may cause that unrest because it's not a present situation. But I call upon the Ugandans to be calm and know that whoever goes against the law, security will take part.
Well, the most recent headlining arrest, if I could take your word arrest, is Afande Abe, formerly with the Uganda Prison Service, who was kidnapped in broad daylight in Ibanda today. How do you account for him?
I'm not aware. It hasn't come to my attention about his kidnap. And if he's with police, then we shall come out. I'll get that information. But as far as I know, I'm not aware about his kidnap.
What picture would you paint of the security situation in the midst of all this nervousness towards the elections?
I should say the security situation is very, very normal because we are seeing the process going on, the electoral processes. We are seeing the candidates campaigning and the voters turning up, cheer them up and listen to them. So the process is normal. The situation is very normal. And the few mishaps that are happening, we are addressing them, but these are not stopping the electoral process is going on.
Do you see any key areas that you're watching towards the elections?
The key areas we are watching is one, the areas where they seem to be insinuating voices of wanting to incite violence. The slogans being uttered, Kalonde, Kakume, seem to be insinuating some violence. And as security, we are saying, if you can turn up and vote, well and good.
Kalonde is a rallying call. Kakume, Kabanje,
is.
it is constitutional, isn't it?
Kabanja, why would you Kabanja? You've elected with, you know that there is a credible electoral commission, there is security. Wait for the results. If you talk of Kabanja, that's what I'm saying, it has a connotation of inciting violence. And we are saying as security, we are watching and we are saying, let people turn up, vote, and wait for the results. As long as the situation is calm and normal, there's no cause for alarm.
Are you still stuck to the position that voters should go home after casting their ballot, even after being advised by the Attorney General that the law allows for 20 meters away from the station?
I think this is being, we need to make it contextual. The issue of vote and go, the 20 meters from the polling station. We are looking at a situation where, yes, the law is very clear, 20 meters. But also don't forget that the Presidential Elections Act makes it very clear about the candidate turning up at the polling station to take charge and witness what is going on directly or through his or her representative. And those are the agents. The presidential candidates have 2 agents. The other electoral parties also have their own agents. So you have these 2 for each presidential candidate.
Within the precincts.
Exactly.
But outside, the law gives 20 meters.
So that's why I'm bringing it into context. I'm saying the law now is being very clear that the candidate can be himself or herself or through the agent, because he cannot be in every polling station. Now, in the presence of the agents, then what is the contribution of the voters who have already cast their vote and we're saying they should stay within? Even then, when the results are being declared, the DRA forms are handed over to the agent, rightly so. So, what is the contribution of these people we are saying they should stay around? Well, we are saying as security, let them stay. As long as
20 meters.
20 meters and they are not causing any commotion. As long as there is no interference with the process, let them be. Don't also forget that.
Isn't this a contradiction? A contradiction from the position of the CDF, of the big shots in the army who are saying, go home?
I've sounded the reason saying, the electorals are saying, the agents or the candidate himself or herself. That's why you questioned, I said, so what is the role of the voter being around the polling station?
Is it disallowed by the law?
But is the law cast on stone?
Yeah, but I mean, are you creating your own rules?
We are not creating
the
the
law
rules.
says
A
voter may stay 20 meters.
We are looking at this from the security point of view. The security point of view. If we realize that the law may cause a conflict by creating an insecurity, yes, should security look on? It can. If it is wrongly interpreted, it can cause insecurity. So you blame the people implementing. And so security is guiding and saying, you voted.
So you are usurping the law.
They actually are
usurping the law. We are making it better and ensuring that the law works within the available security means.
So which legal framework are you using now in sounding all this very, very scary announcement?
It's not very, very scary. I think it's the way you are understanding it. I'm talking from a security perspective and from the mandate point of view of the Uganda police. Okay? To ensure that in this electoral process, there is a calm environment for all the parties to participate. The candidates be voted for and the voters participate.
What will you do when people choose to stay 20 meters as the law provides?
We act according to the prevailing situation.
What will you do?
What shall we do? If they are not causing any commotion.
But Kenya's boss said they are going to be picked as grasshoppers.
Then we judge accordingly.
That's what we are
We judge accordingly.
Well, I'm glad you're coming in now. You've waited for your moment. What's your assessment of things as we head into election?
As usual, you like kusasamaza.
Myself?
Yes.
You have grown. You are following like an old man.
No, you like kusasamaza. Ssemujju, you made your superficial analysis. I listened to you in silence. Yeah. I would implore you to listen to me.
You are following like a real representative of all the people.
I implore you to listen to me in silence, and you want to divert me. You are galloping our moderator. You jump from one issue, before you finish it, you jump to another. And I don't think that's a good way to moderate a debate as important as this one. But let me first go to the question of the register. Why is it in the law that the Electoral Commission is required to give advance register which is digital, soft copy? The assumption in my view, or the presumption in my view, is that these presidential candidates, or candidates for that matter, are reasonable enough, have means, they can go and read, distill the register. Where possible, they can print. And if they find anomalies, they can raise those anomalies. That's why in April, it is displayed. In September, they were given the soft copy. So that even if, for some reason, like they have explained now, logistical, they're unable to deliver before 14 days, at least the candidates, the parties, have the register, and they would have scrutinized. I'm not condoning the fact that the Electoral Commission did not give the hard copy 14 days, but I think that's the reason they give advance copies. Now, as in the circumstance, does it prevent a candidate from raising the anomalies they have now found, assuming they have found some anomalies? Can the Electoral Commission correct those anomalies?
In real time?
In real time. I think that is the most important point, really, in my view. Because already, you have the soft copy, you are expected to have distilled. Now, the question you are asking Bamanova here, I know he has attempted to answer. But we live in Uganda. We have known situations where candidates or their agents or their supporters waylay others, those they suspect not to support them. And we have had scuffles. Now, be as it may, 20 meters away from the polling station, I agree with the Bamanova that the law believes that all of us are going to act in good faith. We shall stay 20 meters away, mind our business, except where somebody really comes with mischief, and then we can probably prevent. So, if we, the voters, want to stay, we can stay 20 meters away. But we have known situations where people of ill intent, you have seen from the campaign slogans of people, they have said, protest vote. What are the elements of this protest vote? I see in it, I read in it, resistance, I read it, defiance, I read in it, attempt to threaten others, I read it, attempts to derail. What is our previous experience? We have had situations, including, by the way, in party elections. You saw the one in DP in Mbarara, where people ran and tried to carry away ballot boxes. In our own NRM elections, we have seen where people have carried away. They have brought children. They have counted the heads of children on the back of their mothers. Did we intend that when we said line up, did we intend that even children on the back of their mothers should be counted? But if a woman voter, a female voter comes with her child, should we tell her to throw away the child? No, we haven't. Now, in our own situation, we have had cases where, in outside NRM, we have had cases where people pretend to be just watchers of election, but they actually make the polling process. People who are outside are actually the ones shouting into the polling station. You say, Oyosimu from far. They have not seen the register, they have not examined, but simply because they suspect that the person is not going to vote.
They're exercising diligence.
Now
it's diligence.
And I think this is what the police is saying. If you stay 20 meters away and you are not being disruptive, there is no problem. But we also know by our practice, that there are people who will come, bring booze, take advantage of booze to intoxicate others so that they can foment trouble. Would you want the police to look on when people have behaved that way?
Because the law says 20 meters.
And, supposing they are 20 meters, but they are actually barricading the route.
Even stopping with others from voting,
yes.
accessing
What
the
would
polling
you
station.
do? Would you still want the police to just look on? And I think those are the cautions. If we are 20 meters away and doing nothing, no problem. Yeah. And I think for us, who are now debating here, that's what we should be guiding our supporters, that stay 20 meters, but please don't be disruptive. Even if you see something which you suspect not to be going right, there are mechanisms within the law, administrative. You can walk to a police constable, for example, an election constable. You can walk to a supervisor and raise your concern so that your suspicion.
But security is categorical. They are saying go home.
No. But he has not
cast your ballot and go home.
On this show, Bamanova The chief political commissioner of the army, of the police has said so. The chairperson of the electoral commission has said so.
Yeah, he has clarified actually.
He said, go home, otherwise you'll be picked like grasshoppers.
Any other person, could be CDF, could be a big person in the army or the police, who says otherwise can be challenged administratively. And we say, you, the CDF, where are you picking that law which you are telling us to comply with? We can even, by the way, go to court. We have 7 days. We can actually go to court and say, Mr. Court, we are scared of the verbal threats of the CDF. Well, and we can use court to restrain him.
Before I get on to the next speaker.
This is what I'm saying.
Thank you very much.
This is what I'm saying.
I see the unusual deployments back. Are things that bad? Are you just being too cautious?
Yes.
No, I'm asking. I'm asking.
No. But this common sense, we all live here.
No, it is not common.
If somebody is threatening.
No, but that was my family's question.
No. I have my head.
It is not for
No. It's not your time.
Ofwono.
You are trying to drive a narrative, and I think you have calculated that Bamunoba is being conscious because he doesn't want you to draw him into your politics of Njara.
But I think
you're being a bully now.
No, I'm not being a bully. I'm not being a bully. We have people.
Allow him to compliment. Allow him to compliment. With my authority now.
Why do you respond on behalf of?
With my authority. Let him compliment.
Yes, we have presidential candidates who are saying, please, we see people going to steal our votes. Please come and pour on the street. You want security to wait until they pour on the street, or should they make a posture which dissuades people from pouring onto the street?
Okay, thank you.
To disrupt elections.
Mr.
Is that what you want?
Corporal Ofwono, that was not your question.
I am higher than a corporal.
Hey, you are now Kano.
I am telling you, I am higher than that. Your ignorance is not my fault.
That's why I am
Simon, when you say a lot of security has poured on the streets, I think this should give you more confidence to say that I think there is enough security where I'm going to walk to the polling station.
Polling day materials. And the law requires that the Electoral Commission invites political parties that are sponsoring candidates and candidates to witness and even record serial numbers. At the beginning in the morning when they were bringing the materials, I was the only candidate available. The NRM were not there, NUP was not there. There was security, RDC and others. And I said, you see, the law says be present, record serial numbers. You are not there, but you are calling. So we are collectively in this. I am not comfortable with the Electoral Commission delivering polling day materials a week before, but I spoke to the Electoral Commission and I want to thank them. They were both Wakiso and Chira. They have been very responsive. They inform you of the requirements in the law and then invite you to witness. When they were training polling presiding officer and polling assistant, they invited us. Again, others didn't come. So the candidates themselves make a lot of noise and they have less capacity to follow these many processes that are happening. Opondo, I am always objective. I am always. So,
He's giving it to Electoral Commission.
Where they have done the right thing, I commend them. And I want them to own up where they have made mistakes. If you are supposed to deliver a register to political parties and you are still fidgeting with it 5 days to go, fidgeting with it,
it was the calm before
don't
the
explain it away. Admit and then seek to correct. As far as security is concerned, because that's delivery of material training, I have been invited as a candidate to witness. I have sent my official agents to be part of the processes to learn, and I want to thank them because if they chose to keep quiet, I wouldn't have known.
Have you also interacted with the BVMs, with the biometric machines?
No, the machines, I haven't seen them because they are all packed. They are all packed in that black box. But they told me when they were training, those operators and the places where the training was meant to take place. That's why I said I thank them, and I assume they informed everybody else. If people didn't turn up, it is their problem.
So the country is on course. The machines are here.
The processes are okay, and I think they are trying, but when they make a mistake, they try to explain it away. Instead of saying, you guys here, we've made a mistake, can we collectively find a solution? Where I have a problem is with the security. And I don't think this political commissar here can answer. Because what Muhoozi Kainerugaba says, in Uganda, it has become a law. These ones will refuse to implement. And that's why you see you're asking him questions, he's answering like this. He can't answer because he's fearing Muhoozi, and they all fear him. Remember what he told Erweru, that you Ofwono, I will deal with you, and Erweru was removed from the military. So this, I sympathize with him. First, even before electoral commission...
It's police mandated to run security.
You no longer have police in the real sense of police. They have become part of the military run by Muhoozi. If he says go and beat this one, will run. And then he will be on radio and TV to explain that actually beating these days is very good because Muhoozi Kainerugaba has said so. This whole problem of ordering voters to go home, Ofwono Opondo has spoken very well. You ought to have guided voters. We hear they are saying this and that. Please, you can be around as the law says, but if you do the following, we will remove you. Nobody will be blaming you. But you start by amending and reversing the law. Then why was it made? Go home. And then the chairman of the electoral commission is acting like a cheerleader. Oh, if you don't go, they are going to pick you like a grasshoppers. And that's the chairman responsible for this exercise.
Kenya will tell us maybe he could have been quoted out of context.
There is no context there. So the law is very clear. Yes, you can stay if you choose. And the police does not even have to announce that if you commit a crime, will come for you. Because even if you commit a crime inside a polling station, police can still come and pick you. So it was needless for you to go on radio and everywhere and begin proclaiming, because it is your responsibility. Even if it is an election officer who has committed a crime. Because assuming I go to vote and the man boxes me, you mean you will not pick him because he's a presiding officer? No, I am saying I sympathize with you because you are trying to validate something wrong. And it doesn't matter how many times you will go on TV to say this is okay because people are many, what. The law says if they choose, they can stay. Your responsibility is to tell them once a crime is committed or it is suspected, who will come in and nobody is going to blame you. But when you begin ordering against the law, it means you're acting in bad faith. And
Honorable Ssemujju.
Yes.
You are saying the machines are here, you trust them.
I fear because you see, and I was on a radio station this evening, and I told the people, knowing the NRM people, I'm not sure they have bought the right machines. You remember in Chogam?
No, they were procured by the Electoral Commission.
It doesn't matter. There are NRM people who you will not see, but they are usually responsible for procurement. In Chogam, they told them to buy limousines for visiting heads of state. Government vehicles are supposed to be manual. Jim Muhoozi and others went and brought automatic. Then they spread them in garages in Kampala to try to fix, change gearboxes. So I sympathize also with Kenya, who is trusting these machines bought by NRM. You wait, they are going to fail.
Okay. What is your degree of skepticism about...
The issue here, because I have heard Kenya himself announcing, at least on one radio station, that when the machines fail, no voting. That is not provided for in the law. And my earlier interaction with, Kenya, he had said the principal document is the voters register. Because the machines are supposed to identify a voter, and they are not, the reason you continue carrying...
the register?
The reason you continue carrying a physical register, it is because that physical register, which you have also issued to the political parties, is the principal document. This machine whose duty is to identify, if it fails, you cannot disenfranchise people.
Okay, thank you.
You
Mr.
cannot.
Kenya, what if machines fail?
Of course, we have, I wouldn't, you asked what is the degree of skepticism?
No.
Parliament.
If the machine is
I'm
failed?
answering the question.
Yes.
It is in context.
Yes.
You started it, you gave it context. And you asked about the degree of skepticism. Of course, it didn't give the percentages, but you know, okay? So the machines have been brought in to support, improve the integrity of our elections. They are designed to meet that need of authenticating the voter's identity. We've used them before. We've identified where challenges have been coming from. And we've put in place a system to ensure that the machine operates at each of the 50,000 polling stations. It's the reason we are deploying 2 units per polling station. So that 1 unit is enough. Of course, it has enough power. The training is such that it can be used to authenticate and verify the identity of voters.
Okay. Past experience reveals
we
that
have
machines
put in place,
have been failing despite
we have put
assurances.
in place, but failing due to what? Because we've looked at power, we've looked at other things and strengthened those areas. Now the purpose is to make sure that if one machine gets an issue, you definitely deploy the second machine. And our objective is to make sure that everyone is biometrically identified.
What
that
if
the machines
the
do not
biometrics fail?
We are not looking at machines failing. We're working to ensure that they perform
Is
their
there a
job.
possibility that they will fail?
I don't want to approach it like that because I've trained and deployed 2 units at a polling station.
And
I've deployed them to perform the function for which they have been designed. But of course, we've put in our guideline a provision that if you're not able to verify, there is support. There is support at every level within the district, at national level, at regional level, at district level. The machines are designed to work, and they're supposed to be part of the process.
You've had the misgivings from the key players in this election. Yes.
I think in Kenya, you're being disingenuous. Even a brand new machine
Can fail.
tested. Those of us who fire guns.
Eh?
Yes.
But you like violence of Ofwono. Why don't you say vehicle?
Yes. This is practical.
You should say those of us who are driving
Yes.
vehicles. So your mind goes to the gun
Yes.
immediately.
Your gun, you can service it, but you go to the field.
Please
and
use
it
the
fails.
vehicle.
A vehicle can fail. You can
Yes.
park it in the evening,
And in the morning,
and in the morning it fails. And here we are discussing very serious matters. You may even have 5 machines.
And they all fail.
And either because the person you assumed you trained has good knowledge of the machines, and there are 3 of them, you try each of them, and the machines, the 5 machines fail. Either because of technicality or because the operators don't know fully, as you assume.
Because they've been trained in haste.
Tell us, really,
No, it is not in haste.
if you don't have answer, you say, I am going to find out, and we need to help the commission that we should have a fallback position if the machine fails.
Now,
But-
Ofwono, you're
Yes,
speaking
but you
like
cannot say
the representative
cannot say
of
the machine can't fail. How?
no, I never say that the machine can't fail.
No,
Of
no,
course
this is
so.
what you have
Oh,
said
oh,
here.
no.
You said you have a
No,
backup.
you kept saying, which is why I said that in case, that's why we talked about the layers of the, the layers that have been put
Are you
in
saying
place.
the voter who's already there should
Of
wait
course you
and
stop-
wait for the sub-county?
No, you
should
stop
wait for
the
district?
process. You stop the process and do the necessary interventions.
What are
because
those
in this
necessary
election,
interventions? What are those
because
necessary
in this election, no.
You see, you are the one.
It's actually an
This-
area of
the-
concern
the-
when we're
the-
using digital.
No.
When we're using
Okay, shall we allow Bukenya?
But let me-
Shall we allow Bukenya?
But let
make
me
his
give you the position.
Yes.
Because this
But
is what the
don't
commission is.
Kulandaga, don't do this.
No, I've not done that. Because I've told you that.
Ofwono is always not a very good friend. You
No,
can't turn against
and I don't have a problem. I'm sitting near you.
Yes, but you see, where I
please
see,
allow
where I
him
see
make
him
his response.
walking into a ditch, which will eventually make the electoral process shabby. Because really, how can you say on this show that a machine can't fail?
I never said the machine can't fail, but I said in the event
You are now
that
changing.
that's why there are 2 units. In case there is a problem with unit 1, there's unit 2. But then I talked about the support which is in place for at a district level. at even regional level to intervene where a polling station has a problem.
So it's unlikely
So
that
while you can postpone polling, because polling can be postponed for reasons. We've postponed polling because of a problem at a polling station. You can hold on to
you are
polling.
ruling out manual.
Now, no, manual is still
Manual
used,
voting.
but every voter in this election must be biometrically verified and identified and ascertained. That is the design of this election.
Okay, let me ask him. A villager was run from her garden or his garden with sweat and dust. And for that reason, the machine fails to identify the face. What happens?
But of course, we are identifying the fingerprint or the face.
Everything has
If the
failed.
fingerprint
In case
can
we
have
cannot,
soil.
in case there is a disability and you cannot be identified using any of that, the National Voters Register is used to identify you, of course. But of course, now the unit is doing more than just identifying your features. It is also assigned to identify the ballot papers at that polling station.
You see,
What are the chances that these machines, this system, can be manipulated in one way or the other?
Njala, you're taking us now to another question.
I think,
Disenfranchisement
Yes.
as a result of possible technical
but,
issues. And our concern, I think the BVVK is a very good system. We're not disputing that. But we have concerns about possibilities of disenfranchisement of voters due to some technicalities that could arise. Has the Electoral Commission considered those, and what assurances would we have that such disenfranchisement would not happen?
I think we've looked at scenarios because we know them that could arise and bring challenges in the use of biometrics. And that's why there is all this structure.
I've just described of a farmer who runs with a dirty hand, with the sweat and dust, and at the polling station you have not provided water for washing the hands, for example.
But
Water
why
for
would
washing
someone
the
come to a polling station when they are dirty like that?
why shouldn't they come?
Are you going to prevent somebody from coming
No,
to
but
vote because they
either
are
way,
dirty?
a person will still be. You are using a situation that doesn't even
Are you
realize.
sure?
But
Then
people
I think you're talking.
no, but I
Because
think
it's a
what we
valid
could look at,
concern.
You
if
see,
I can conclude this,
Njara.
because I needed to.
Njara,
Yes,
to
let's
give a
give
good
him chance.
picture.
You ask.
Before
I
I
needed
came here,
to give a picture.
I
of
was
the,
appearing with other colleagues for another talk show on a radio station. And in his own voice, Bukenya, he said if the machine is failed, there will be no voting. Am I lying?
Of course, you hold on to voting until you come in and intervene with the measures that I've talked about.
What if
there
they
is
completely fail?
because you're talking about a unit failing, and I'm talking about this unit here failing, and I'm talking about backup support to make sure that voters are verified and identified biometrically through the support system. Because there's a support system that will bring in a new kit.
Who has approved these machines? If the MPs themselves recently
They were taking
expressed
7 minutes,
reservations,
7 minutes per MP.
No.
the test that
Because there were trainings, there were explanations, that's why we were going through a lengthy process.
Okay.
But the piloting of this, the testing of this, the simulations that we've done with voters is such that just like it takes to swipe you and enter into this station here,
You
it
see,
takes seconds to
the
identify
trouble,
you.
and we need to
I think
give,
we are talking IT
we need to
now.
give
No.
this context.
I think
We need to give this context. Mr. Museveni was made to believe, I think by his handlers, that he was cheated in the last election, and he believed it. Those who ate his money made him believe. So he proclaimed that their voters will now be identified by machines. Then, like in the case of the policeman, who must find a way of implementing Moses' order, now these ones, because you ask all these questions in Parliament, that Mr. Museveni is ordering that if the machine is failed, no elections. Tell us the best of the law. Then they said, his handlers, who are also speakers, they said, where did he say it? And it ended there. So Kenya is not stating a position of electoral commission generated in a meeting. They are all trying to find a way of implementing Museveni's wish, because Museveni, who is a candidate, said if the machine is failed,
No, but
and that's why even the
Electoral
even the
Commission
procurement itself
is mandated.
I have read the 2.5 years to take plan of the Electoral Commission. These machines were never there. That's why they came rushing recently, looking for a supplementary budget to begin to implement this exercise. So where we are now, and I agree with Ofwono, upon what Electoral Commission should have done is to say we think they will not fail, but if they fail, we will find a solution. Even if they leave it at that, it will give some hope. But for you to pretend that...
But you can hear Mr. Bukenya is saying, why should a voter come when they are dirty?
but you know, you're talking about a situation...
No, I'm asking you, Bukenya. First of all, 50% of the voters or more are rural people
working,
who will be coming from the garden. Have you ever bothered to find out why people come to vote, majority of them turn up after 11, after midday?
They start in the gardens, definitely.
Yes, exactly. Now, are you going to give each of them water?
And so,
wash their hands and their face?
And Honorable, I know you know that people are also responsible as they present them at polling stations.
You see,
they come with VLS, they come with...
No, I think Justice Byabakama, the president might have insisted that we use biometric. That's well and good if we want to. But I think we need to have the manual backup.
But the register, there is a register at the polling station.
But you are saying they shouldn't use it.
What's wrong with you saying we shall fall back in that rare extreme circumstance?
No, but the position of the Electoral Commission is that it will be fully biometric. And that explains why they have spare
Mr.
kits.
Bukenya, to say why should people come dirty? Are you going to govern them that first bathe and come?
No, but you know we are mobilizing voters. We are teaching them
let me get to
polling stations.
I can see.
I can see why. Let me get to polling.
I can see why our public administration runs into trouble because of having people like Bukenya.
How deep
is the trust
issue towards the forthcoming election? Even as we talk about the biometric machines, do you think there is a level of trust amongst Ugandans towards how this entire exercise is going to be run?
Well, the trust element may be an issue, and I think trust is built with the level of engagement, the level of information that is provided. That is why when I was speaking earlier, I said that we credit the Electoral Commission for being responsive. It's very important for people to know. You cannot underestimate the importance of voters to that basic level that we're talking about, knowing what is happening. Now, this BVVK system, as we have said, is generally a good thing. We want to make sure that the process is more secure. However, are we sure that generally our population has understood? You know, we've described this particular voter, and when we're looking at things from a human rights perspective, we want to look at that most vulnerable person because we don't want anyone to be disenfranchised. We can sit here in Kampala and Kampala Metropolitan and assume that things will generally go okay.
As you credit the Electoral Commission,
but
was there any kind of voter education that you heard of?
Ours is civic education. We do the civic education, but honestly, that is one of the challenges we've had in this cycle. We have not had sufficient funding or resources to do civic education. I don't want to go into the details of the level of budgeting and what that.
So even EC has not conducted voter education.
Yeah, so both of them have done nothing.
I don't want to speak for Electoral Commission, but there has been a real concern around civic education. But also, why should we start to talk or hype civic education right towards the election? This is something that should be ongoing even 2, 3 years, 4 years ahead. So there has been a challenge in that. But I wanted to go back to the issue of the BVVK, and I'm not saying this in a manner to put the Electoral Commission on the spot, but to say that we anticipate that there might be challenges that could cause disenfranchisement that we think the Electoral Commission should bear in mind and address. Mr. Bukenya has not been able to actually tell us what would happen. Yes, he said that you don't have to have polling on that at that exact point. But so what are the measures that are in place? It would be good for the public to know what measures has the Electoral Commission put in place. Should we, in the unlikely event that we have that challenge?
Yes, Pauline, and before I shift to Afade Babunova, where do you think the biggest spotlight of voters should be? Is it on the Electoral Commission or the conduct of security this time?
You know, Mr. Anjala, and I said it earlier when I was speaking, when we talk about elections, ideally, security should be on the outskirts of that discussion, because this is a civic right that we all enjoy. The role of security, as always, is to ensure law and order and to ensure that there's generally a peaceful environment. So when I have a problem with overemphasizing the role of security. Security has its role.
Security is very central.
Yeah,
You've had them running.
That's the point I'm making, that we should encourage ourselves to keep this. Yes, we have the election constables, we have the security systems within the polling stations, but we should not allow a situation where, whenever we're talking about elections, the first point that we're talking about is the security agencies, because they are there to provide a support system. So when you say, should we be concerned about the level of engagement of the security agencies? Our position is this is a civic activity. The police should come in to do its regular role. The security agencies should, the other security agencies should really, it should be a point of last resort that should not really cause so much debate among us.
Afad Bamunova, what are some of the critical scenarios that you've mapped as security ahead of Jan 15th?
Critical scenarios in which sense?
Critical scenarios that would involve security to step in and maybe up your game.
I think, as my sister Pauline said, security is there to execute its mandate. We know the primary actor here is the Electoral Commission. The police is there to ensure that whatever Electoral Commission is handling, the voters and the whole exercise is handled in a calm and secure environment. As simple as that. And so, we expect everybody to comply to that effect. That you've turned up at the polling station, you've got the polling officials, you've got the materials, you've voted, and you wait for the announcement of the results.
Yeah, but you earlier hinted on how deeply disturbed you are about the Kalonde sloganeering, Kalonde, Kakume, Kabanji. Is it anything that you see could raise a trouble spot?
I should say that by all intent, this election is going to go on peacefully, and the police is well equipped and ready to secure the process. So there should be no cause for worry. Whoever is going to disturb the process, security will act accordingly.
Why do you emphasize police? I thought it's joint. Security.
The police is the lead agency. The other ones coming to give support. But the police is the lead agency in this. However, it works in line and in coordination with other security agencies, constitutionally mandated, the UPDF, the prisons, and the UA.
As someone who has been very active in all the political processes, all the elections over time, how unique is this forthcoming election? And what do you think the country should be watching?
For my side, my candidate, presidential, my parliamentary candidates and others, generally speaking, we have obeyed, we have run the course as agreed in the joint meetings with the Electoral Commission and other political parties and candidates. By today, my presidential candidate had done 141 public rallies, in addition, of course, to other engagements. I have seen that except one presidential candidate, except one political party, the rest of the political parties and the presidential candidates, in my view, in my assessment, have similarly complied with the agreement, the rules by the Electoral Commission. I have not had a single case so far, FDC, and the other political parties, and having issues, either with big issues with the Electoral Commission. I think if they have them, they try to raise them within the joint committees, the joint committee that have been put in place. I have not had them having street battles, for example, with the law enforcement. I have not heard them issuing threats. Even FDC, I think as they say, once bitten, twice shy. I think they tried the defiance, they tried the civil disobedience when it didn't take them far. This time, generally, you can see that FDC has run what I would say a clean, peaceful campaign. Thirdly, you can see that they have not joined NUP on its rough voyage. And therefore, I think we should give them credit that they have not joined NUP in the rough voyage. And I think that should tell NUP, because all these things when you're talking about police and security, it is mainly NUP, and not even NUP as a party, their presidential candidate is the one who's having trouble. And I think that should give them a step back and say why. Honorable Ssemujju here is a very robust guy in the election. It is a positive.
It's a compliment.
It's a compliment. NUP people should be able to say, how come Honorable Ssemujju hasn't this time had issues? How come Honorable Nganda, you remember he once stood on a tank, a military tank in Mbale?
With Wabudea, when he was contesting with
with his white shorts. Yeah? You remember him? He hasn't done so. So I think Mrs. Kyagulanyi and NUP should be able to step back and say, if there is a general in this election who should be issuing threats, I think for that reason they should be able to say this raising tension. So for me, that has been a plus in this election, and I think all this brahaha of Kyagulanyi and some few elements of NUP, Mwanga Kivumbi, I think they will come to their...
Where things stand, what is NRM's projection? This is the best time now.
Well, first of all, from the parliamentary elections, NRM has 19 returned and opposed. If you are
unscrupulous,
where you are disqualifying people.
Well, I think they are disqualified through a legal procedure, transparent. And if there's anybody who says it was disqualified through an opaque procedure, the courts of law are available for them to seek a redress, including stopping this election not to go ahead until their matters are heard. You'd be insincere to yourself if a party that has 19 members of parliament, returned and opposed, is not the one going to win.
They are actually 29 if you add the military.
Those are not part of NRM.
They are NRM.
They are part of the state. The UPDF is part of the state, not part of NRM. Now, and it is provided for in the Constitution and the relevant laws. Now, personally, I have traveled in this campaign. The only place I have not been to is Western Uganda. I seem to see that even in Buganda, which we lost last time at both presidential and parliamentary, presidential, parliamentary, and local, there's a sense in which I see NRM getting back some votes. It may not get overwhelming majority, but there's a sense. And where am I seeing this? I can see the enthusiastic support. There's no intimidation. There's no overt. In the last campaign, you would not find easily posters of NRM people. You will not find easily people walking, putting on NRM t-shirts. I am seeing that presence now. But also, the utter failure of NUP and the internal implosion, I think, has given the people of this area the type of leadership NUP can provide. I think they have disqualified themselves from the vote in some votes in Buganda. And so NRM is going to take, and so is Busoga. The rest of the country, I don't see NUP.
So it's purely yours to lose now?
Yes, it is purely ours to lose. And we can only lose by two things. If we, the NRM mobilizers, do something strange that throws people out, that offends common sense. Secondly, because we're the ones who run the state, if this guy is here, like some of the things they have been doing, some unnecessary, some uncalled for. And let me add, there's this ongoing dispute about the flag. If NOP has been ingenious, more ingenious than NRM, to use the flag, the national flag, as a symbol of their mobilization, I don't see why people should begrudge them, regardless of what the law says. Now, if, for example, let me just give, if enough people want to use the flag to mobilize their people to come and vote, my strong advice would be that you guys, let those people come to vote. Don't try to snatch their flag. Otherwise, you cause unnecessary confrontation. Except, of course, if they want to use the flag as a symbol of resistance, as a symbol of defiance, then that, like what you're saying, if somebody has cast his vote and he has his flag 20 meters, 30 meters away, why bother with him? Leave them. So NRM can lose this election if these guys do some of the things they have been doing.
So the shabbiness of
we would implore them. Yeah, we would implore them to be professional. You can be firm without being overboard.
Thank you. As we take a break, Mr. Bukenya, what are some of the key concerns that the Electoral Commission feels ought to be fixed before Jan 15th?
Key concerns from stakeholders. General, as the Electoral Commission, of course, we want to make sure that there is compliance with our guidelines, because we nominated candidates and they are campaigning. We want them to finish the race, and that polling day has a free participation and a higher turn-up. So our concern then would be orderly conduct, because the law does not go away because we're in an electoral environment. And that's why we say even the polling station is a regulated environment. Polling stations are gazetted areas, and there are guidelines that we follow at a polling station. There's a way you conduct yourself at a polling station.
Don't you find it awkward that you're going into this election without sufficient or any voter education? None whatsoever.
No, definitely, like my sister observed, we continue to have a challenge of continuous voter education. But there's been a mobilization and engagement of stakeholders, and for that matter, even voter education about the successive activities we've been doing, which is why there's been participation. But definitely, our voter education needs to go through. Did you conduct
voter education?
Yeah, definitely, we did conduct voter education. The question has been...
Honorable Ssemujju, was there voter education in your constituency?
But you had asked me a question, and I think I was answering the question.
No. You'll come in. Was there voter education?
Maybe they were educating themselves.
He has given an answer. I think I can continue with my subject.
And I want to encourage you. I was on a radio station, and people asking very basic questions. I turn up at a polling station. I didn't pick a voter location slip. I don't have an ID. Do I vote? So there are basic questions that you need to be answering almost regularly between now and the polling day. Because there are people who may stay away because they missed the opportunity to pick the slips.
So I'm saying...
We've had this renewal of national IDs, and people are, in some areas there's a struggle actually to be able to, for people to get their national
We've
IDs.
guided very well, and we continue guiding even as we go into polling, which is, our voter education has, it still needs to be upped up. But it has also been thematic. When we are doing a particular activity, we target on that. But we have guided voters that the National Voters Register is the basis for voting. You must have been registered as a voter, and you present yourself at a polling station where you're registered as a voter. So we've issued VLS, voter location slip, but we've also guided that if on polling day you don't see a voter location slip, or you don't see a national ID card, you can still present yourself.
Aren't you worried that quite a number of people are likely to stay away from
No,
this
we are
election?
not. We don't think that is the case. We've seen, Simon, we think there is a lot of enthusiasm. Also, because when we are doing voter education, the candidates are also doing voter education. They are mobilizing people to come and support them. We have seen a lot of enthusiasm, Ugandans getting ready to participate in this election, and we're also calling upon...
So you project the number could be higher?
We project that the number will be high, and we've prepared for you Ugandans to turn up and vote. Come and vote for the candidates of your choice. They're out there campaigning. Candidates have achieved up to 90% now of their campaign schedules. They've gone around the country.
As we take a break, on average, how many voters, or what's the speed of the biometric voter machine?
The biometric voter machine is as fast as the biometric system we used here, because it scans. It is a fast scan. It's 5 seconds just to scan your detail, and it flashes on the
While at
screen.
Parliament, it took...
There was education. It was a voter education. It was a voter education session. There was an explanation. We are not explaining that to the voter because they don't need it. When you present yourself and your thumbprint is imposed onto a machine, does it take a minute? It doesn't take a minute, definitely. And swiping a card is something that you do always. It doesn't take minutes. And that's why the polling stations for that
Where
matter.
is the back end for these machines?
But what we've also done...
For this information?
But they are imposing their thumbprints onto the machine. And immediately...
Haven't you gone to your bank and your ATM fails to work, and your own card, your own thumbprint fails to work? You repeat 5 times?
Then we have a facial recognition system. Then we have a facial recognition system.
Where is the back end for this information that you'll be collecting?
So, let me finish that because I needed to take our viewers through it. I think our stakeholders have been saying that let's improve the integrity of the elections. Let's fight ballot.
There are areas where the level of civic competence is a bit high, but many of them I don't think have an idea. First of all, what an MP does, what a district chairperson does, including, by the way, in some areas, candidates themselves.
No, but Honorable Ssemujju, the places that you bring, they are the bad MPs who don't know what to urban centers, where civic competence you would assume, because that's where highest concentration of educated people and managed people is. You're about to say where the opposition enjoys a bit of a struggle. Those are your words.
So because us who are interested in parties, you want to go and plead with voters to vote for you. The Electoral Commission should have been advising the Uganda Human Rights Commission functioning. I don't think people have an idea. I told people in my constituents, because in the last election, the NRM cheated the name of C3 chairperson 1-1. He can't write his name. But people had voted him to supervise graduates. So you come at a municipality where the town clerk and all the other staff are graduates with a budget of 30 billion and 50 billion. And then you see the councillors, you saw them when you were swearing in. And that becomes a council to represent the population at that administrative period. They are the ones responsible for passing budgets for those local administration, but they can't even swear one sentence or paragraph in English. We are very angry with you when I tell it, because even at the parliamentary. Remember when Museveni returned the budget, and people were abusing us, those of us who sit on the budget committee, that we had altered the priorities of government. I had to tell them that Museveni has removed the money from ambulances and surgical wards and he had given it to Magora. And then they ran mad. That group of 559, they pass a budget whose content they don't know. The ceremony, every May they pass a budget. And then they begin discovering in their own budget things that they approved. And you keep, so it's very painful, by the way. It's very painful. Ofwono, opondo, you are killing this country. You bring people in the parliament.
But he's part of the quality that...
Him, I am very happy. I hope they can bring more of him, because these ones can make a mistake, but knowing that they are making a mistake. But the others who don't even think that they are making a mistake. At local government, big problem. Because these are supposed to be the supervisors of the civil service. But because they are extremely vulnerable, they know nothing, they basic things. So the voters are disadvantaged because of Human Rights Commission and because of Electoral Commission. For them, him ticking dates and the things he has done, he thinks it is a success.
On the roadmap.
He thinks it is a success. The success should be to deliver a pair of human resource that will change people's lives. Not just ticking. Now we have delivered the boxes. Now the boxes have arrived. And then you go and celebrate. You should be imprisoned for that.
Giving them flowers.
Both of you, you have a duty to ensure we have a set of human resource that will change lives in Uganda.
Well, Pauline.
But Kenya celebrates dates.
There is another looming issue that seems to be stoking a lot of fear amongst Ugandans. The imminent shutdown of internet during the elections. Has the Human Rights Commission addressed yourselves to that?
We've had, like everybody else has had, concerns about will the internet be shut down. Even today, I had the chairperson of the Uganda Communications Commission saying that there is no imminent internet shutdown. That is the position that we have had, and so we are looking keenly to see, whether the position, because he said there's no looming internet shutdown. If there's any shutdown that's going to happen, it will be communicated. Those were his words. Those were his words. It will be communicated, and there will be guidance provided. So from our side, we want to see, okay, this is the regulator. This is what they are saying. Because, I mean, we know the importance of having access to information at such a time. And so we're waiting to see.
For the benefit of our viewers, what's your role in this election? And how far can you go in straightening up things?
Elections or voting is one of the rights, the many rights that we
As
enjoy.
UHRC,
yes.
What are you doing?
We are monitoring. That's one of our primary roles. We are supposed to, and I think it's a fair question to ask, because sometimes people assume that we are part of the participants in the game. We are not. We are there to observe our processes. That's why in the beginning I said, is the legal framework there? Are the processes being followed? Is there responsiveness from the
brutality?
We have not been
silent.
Very
loud.
Mr. Angela, we've not been silent. That's an unfair indictment on us. And also there's this expectation that every time whatever the commission does must be done out there in the public. No.
What are you doing?
We are engaging from the very beginning. Actually, when the roadmap was first issued, actually even way before the roadmap, we started having dialogues with religious leaders, with cultural leaders, because the message is we must have peace, we must have access, we must be able to participate. We engage with the security agencies. These people are very, very good friends. We are constantly with them, training in human rights. Even when there are issues that come up, the chairperson, the members at different levels, we engage. Sometimes, in fact, usually, when you hear us come out and issue a formal statement, that's a very big indictment, Mr. Angela. It's not a casual thing for a national human rights institution to issue a statement and say this went wrong. But sometimes I think people imagine that we are just one other civil society organization that is adding a voice.
Who have been caught on camera, live, brutalizing supporters of candidates, individually liable, and what would you do to them?
They are definitely they're individually liable. When those incidences happen, you've actually had the chairperson come out and say, police, I hope we expect that you've taken action against these people. And many times, in fact, we fault police because many times they take action, but they don't communicate. That's one of the challenges we've had with them. Many times you find that these people are disciplined internally with their processes, and we believe that internal self-policing is actually the best way to ensure that you strengthen, because we want to strengthen the institutions. We don't want to also add to become another police to those institutions.
Thank you. Afande Pamunova, do you agree that the conduct of some of your officers during campaigns has been wanting, and what have you done to them?
There is always never a failure to have bad apples in the basket. Certainly, there could be those officers who are not up to their task. And we've used the internal mechanisms to address those challenges. Like?
Could you tell us three officers who have been reprimanded over misconduct during campaigns?
No, I may not have the specific names. I may not have the names offhand, but we've taken action. We've taken action using the internal mechanism. We have the
like on which particular event have you taken action?
Disciplinary courts. On which particular events?
Yes. Have you arraigned an officer?
Any event where there's been a complaint, genuine and visible complaint, and officers have misbehaved, they have been subjected to the internal mechanism, where we have tried them through our disciplinary courts and action is taken.
Okay, where is the red line
Except
on this?
now you're saying we should open the internal system to the public.
Yes, that's
But also the bureau
accountability.
has always come
That's
out to announce
accountability.
this.
I mean, because there is a sense that the growing impunity within forces is because officers will come out, brutalize the public, and no one will touch them.
Do you have specific names? And you say these ones? No, the names, the specific names, you have
So you
them?
don't know who you deployed in Kawempe should be the
So
one
that's
to
what I'm
tell
saying,
you.
we address the concern.
So tell
internally.
us in Kawempe, they were beating journalists, beating candidates, beating everybody.
But you see, it is your word
So
against my word. You're saying.
who did you discipline
So
in
do you have the
Kawempe?
specific officer? Do you have the specific names?
Did I deploy them?
There is
Tell me who-
Muchibi. There is the
police which
notorious
deployed.
Afande Muchibi. I think you know him. He's been everywhere.
There is Serunjoji in Sechikubo's constituency, the one who shot and killed a person.
Ssemujju, a police officer?
Are you not responsible for law and order?
No, I'm asking you. Which Ssemujju you are
You
referring
mean
to?
you don't arrest soldiers if they kill?
Why not? They are not above the law.
Then you're asking me, I'm telling you, the one who shot, Lieutenant.
There is Afande Muchibi. I think he's become so notorious.
In which instance has he been in notorious?
On quite a number of rallies, he's been seen smashing cars and brutalizing supporters of Chagulanyi. What have you done to him?
I think the issue of Muchibi might be being overblown because Muchibi at his level
you
is a
go.
commander, right? And so he's commanding the junior forces.
So where is the limit? I mean, at what point do you say that this officer has misbehaved?
If the office has acted contrary
To what?
to the laws and to the internal mechanisms of the
If he has been
institution.
asked to be,
No, look, the Afande Muchibi I'm referring to openly assaulted, I think he's done magic,
Assaulted who?
on camera, one of the inner ring personalities of Chagulanyi. He beat him up. And there is also another BBS guy who was brutalized before cameras.
If there is a glaring evidence, then the action can be taken against him.
You have no
Maybe we
evidence.
need to have I haven't watched it. I haven't.
So, how central is the conduct of security, especially as we head to elections? And how cautious do they have to be? Because at the beginning, Afande Bamunova said, if someone is acting contrary to the law, we shall pick them. Now, the general sense is that there are kidnaps happening.
I am not aware of the kidnaps. It is the words of Mr. Chagulanyi, Robongoya, Katana, against that of the police. I think they need to, and I think the word kidnap is being used deliberately to show that we are a lawless society. Where somebody has been arrested or apprehended by security, of course, this is our law. Whether you are arrested by the army or the police or anybody else, they should identify themselves. They should disclose where that person is being held. And then the reason. I think in some cases, there have been instances where there have been those lapses, particularly people arrested by the army. I would implore our colleagues in the UPDF, our standard in the UPDF for a long time is that we are transparent. You can make mistakes. You arrest a bad person or a good person for no reason, but you should disclose where they are. I would implore UPDF to go back to that standard. Otherwise, you are... And the president has said, why do I arrest a person and beat them or don't disclose? Of what evidential value
and Ofwono, you believed
is
him.
it? Now, why will police come? Quite often, it is because of our behavior, When you offend the law, police or any other organ will come and apprehend you. But they should take you through a due process. So if you don't want the law to come to you, behave well. And in this election, I want to implore my fellow citizens, even when you're having big contestation with the NRM, first of all, don't underestimate NRM. Why would somebody abuse the person, the direct person of the president, for example? Because we, the ordinary citizens, we don't have anything that brings us in touch ordinarily criticize his policy, criticize his method strongly, bring evidence. But if you go overboard, for sure, like now we are having this thing of whether or not people should be at the polling station after voting. Be at the polling station. But please, keep calm. If you come and attack Ofwono and then police comes, please don't cry. So let us know our limit. Unfortunately, in Uganda and in politics, there are people who think that when they are candidates, the law gets suspended. I think it is not a behavior we should encourage. You have seen when people are members of parliament, a traffic police officer.
Or do you want to look at a journalist who has been brutalized?
No, first of all,
we can play it as you make your analysis.
A traffic police officer stops them and says, "Do you know who I am? You're a member of parliament." A police officer stops you. Why should we say, "Do you know who I am?"
Look at that.
Now,
look at that.
No, I don't. You have brought it. I don't know what preceded the confrontation. It is possible he was restrained and he said, I am a journalist. Why are you stopping me? But even when you're a journalist doing your work.
Can we have a balanced coverage? What precipitated that arrest?
Yes.
It does not matter.
What precipitated?
It does not matter. You're looking at police beating a citizen.
But you can say the man is resisting.
You have just...
resisting what? In the line of duty.
No. You have... A line of duty must be...
You're clobbering a journalist who is holding a camera.
Clobbering him is a different matter. But are you saying that when I'm a journalist and I'm taking pictures, I cannot be restrained, I cannot be advised? Now, you have just used here a phrase, Kyagulanyi is in a ring. The state has given you police officers to guard you, the presidential candidate. What are those people doing in a ring?
They should beat them.
Is that a crime?
Should they be beaten?
By the time
These are his assistants.
No, by the time you see a presidential candidate having a body-to-body contact with police officers, with security officials, law enforcement, then you know that presidential candidate has something wrong with his head. Which other presidential candidate have you seen having body-to-body contact with the police officers? Except Besigye those days, and I think Mr. Kyagulanyi is trying to imitate. He can't even see where did this kind of behavior lead Besigye to.
Well, Mr. Bukenya.
But if you want to know really whether Mr. Kyagulanyi has influence in this election, I'm watching 2 constituencies. That's why I will know that he is such a powerful man.
Which are these?
But
The first one is
He's not contesting for parliament.
And his campaign against Ssemujju, if he defeats Ssemujju with his candidate, then I will know he's very powerful.
I'm afraid we need to bring
But
this
he's
to an end, and I really want to thank you. Afande Babunova, thank you for joining us. Pleasure having you. Mr. Bukenya, thank you for joining us.